every time.
Right, thanks, Sam. Welcome back, boys, to another episode. This is probably our most long-awaited guest, I'd probably say, or like the guest that's asked to be on the most.
I feel like he asked us first, and we've got him on.
Yeah, I actually did.
What was
I
it,
was
like?
keen.
I feel,
I
I
was
feel like
keen, boys, to roast, to roast,
I
to
feel like
roast.
before. I think even before
Perfect.
we actually filmed the first episode, I said we were filming tonight, and Joe was like, "Get me on."
So
I was
get
like,
it on,
I was,
yeah.
I was like,
Let's have
yeah,
it. Let's
I was
have
like,
it.
yeah, I was like, yeah, Joe, we actually need to film the first episode because you're not going to be here every single week. So let's just do the first one. He was like, no, just get me on now. Come on, just get me on.
I wanted to just give Josh a bit of a bollocking straight from the get-go, but obviously we're
Yeah,
weeks
I'm
down
a
the
bit.
line now.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know how this podcast is gonna go. It's either gonna go like really like in depth. No one's ever heard Joe talk this um, professional in his life, or it's gonna go the complete opposite, and it's gonna be
Nah.
about 15 minutes long because the rest we actually can't upload. He's gonna bring up
Nah, it'll
loads.
be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. But it's good to be on the what's even the bodybuilders BB and Beanies podcast.
Yeah,
We've got the beanie on
we
as
don't even
well.
know half the name to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know Joe, Joe's probably like probably last year was probably like the leanest human on the planet, or failing that him the year before. Um, Basically, Joe's what is it 2 seasons you've done now?
2 seasons, yeah. Competed 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years.
Last year and the year before.
2 years as a natural, and pretty much got fat free in both. And not as in like fat free, where like the vast majority of us say fat free, to the point where like Joe's family were probably just happy to see him wake up.
Tim was as well, yeah.
That's
Everyone
him. That
was.
video of Tim, wasn't it? When he was like,
Just happy to see him
I
alive.
wait for his message to wait. What is it? Wait for his message to make sure he's alive or something every morning, isn't it?
Bro, we wouldn't even actually do like check-ins first. It would literally just be the first text and he would say like, it would just be like, are you good? And I'd be like, yeah, and that was it. It was that simple. I'd be like, yeah. Mm. Yeah, no,
If you want to
last
give
year
like a bit of
was,
like a give a bit of like a backstory, even start from like not like how'd you get into bodybuilding because everyone kind of gets into things in like a similar sort of way, um, but like
No, before bodybuilding, because remember Tim. Well, I didn't know this about you at all, but Tim told us your small backstory of your previous sports
mm,
you used to do. I didn't know that about you.
yeah.
So
Nah, so obviously yeah, I'm Joe, but I've competed for 2 years. And been in the game, I guess, for those 2 years as well. And it feels like I've been in it much longer than I have, and that's probably like everyone who's been in this industry because it's quite a close knit thing. Um, Before all of this, I was actually a boxer. So when I first started, I guess when I was younger, I always had that like did have that passion for pushing yourself really hard because I was playing rugby and football, and I did really enjoy them when I was playing them at quite a high level, but there was something missing in terms of that kind of that savage side of things. So I then at the age when it was like 15, 14, when lads are growing up and it's like it was when to be fair, it was when Anthony Joshua was big on the scene in boxing. That sort of time when boxing was getting bigger. And I remember going down to a boxing gym at that age, 14. Done it a bit before, but that was the age that I properly went down and then ended up, yeah, I guess falling in love with that, fighting at a high level. Um, and
but you
that was,
started boxing at 14, 15.
yeah, yeah.
That's the fact that you got to a high level is quite cool because generally like a lot of people who get to that level start boxing when they're like really young. Like
Yeah, I think it was the environment I was in because I was in quite a good gym. Do you know what I mean? I was boxing with like good people, like my mate Adam, for example. I was boxing with him, kind of not started, but when I took it to that level, I was boxing with him, and he's like Prince Nazim, like Prince Nazim's
yeah,
family. So
yeah.
like being surrounded by people like that, then it kind of put you in the position of it was like serious, it was good level, training with various different people up and down the country, going to different gyms, sparring a lot of people as well. That obviously then did go pro. And I was loving boxing to be fair, but then it was like got to the point where it started to get quite seeing it in terms of the pro league, the pro world, and how the game is. again, I got to be careful what I say, but it kind of put me off a little bit seeing how things are being run in terms of seeing the back bits behind the scenes of boxing and the journeyman and people getting paid to lose and then fights being fixed. All this shit, it put me off so much. I remember just not having that fight for it really, in terms of I didn't really see it. Was just a bit like this is all an act. I guess you could say that's the same with bodybuilding, but it put me off to the point of if I don't enjoy something, if I don't want to do something, I just can't do it. It's obvious. I remember going to the sparring and I was just going to my sparring. I was sparring like what 3-4 times a week. Bearing in mind my routine from the age of like 15, 16, I stopped really going out, training like a madman 3 times a day, like from that age. And then when I was at school, it would be get up in the morning before school at 5:30. Well, 5:30 I had to be done. So I was getting up at 4:30, depending on the length of the run. I'd do a 5 mile to like 8 mile run. Some days it would then be a sprint session instead. I'd go to school, I'd leave school at 2. So after lunch, like before my last lesson, I would get that. I'd sometimes miss it, to be fair, but I'd actually, because it's sixth form, I'd do that or I'd leave. I'd go to boxing, get back from boxing. If it was sparring, if it was a pad session, if it was traveling around the country to different gyms to spar against people, get back at whatever time. And then I'd be back down in the gym 4 times a week doing like strength and conditioning stuff. So yeah, I was training like that, like genuinely, I wouldn't have a day off. And it got to the point where I actually got like overtraining, like an actual thing where it's overtraining syndrome, where I was so fucked that like the doctors in boxing said that there was something wrong, blah, blah. But at that point, it was also when I just kind of didn't enjoy it enough to like kind of take, not the risk, but like I didn't have that fight. And you've got to have that fight if you really want to do it and get in a ring and get hurt, because you do get hurt. But it didn't give me that buzz anymore. And then that's when obviously COVID hit. So all the fights got cancelled. That's when certain fights that I wanted to have as an amateur got cancelled with certain people that are now obviously pro. That's when I started putting on muscle to go up a weight class. Then I got to the point where I was training in Marlow, and I was like, bodybuilding, I never really done it. Someone mentioned it to me, and then I thought I'll give it a go, and ended up reaching out to Tim.
So how did you get into? So go into like how you got into contact with Tim, because I don't know, and I just know you just always been with Tim, like spawned in with him.
So yeah, mate, it's funny. Basically, I with Tim. So I got in contact with him from his old mate Robbie, or his mate Robbie. He was at uni with him. They were at uni together, and he was local to me. And obviously, to be fair, Josh as well. Josh Miller Hall knew Tim a bit through Robbie, because Robbie peaked. Because Tim peaked Robbie the year before when Josh and Robbie competed that year before me. You know, like their first time on Mental Zeke. So then I reached out to Tim, and I'll be honest, I saw him like twice before in the gym. We looked at each other, and I thought he was going to be a right prick. I thought he was going to be a waste, man. I remember saying, "Oh, this guy." Yeah, we both looked at each other like we were going to swing
everyone's relation with Tim.
It's weird because I didn't know Tim much at all until probably like 2 years or so ago. But he had like followed me on Instagram maybe like 2-3 years ago. And then about 2 years ago, I think it was probably around the time that you maybe competed for the first time anyway. I clocked that he had unfollowed me. He thought I was an absolute twat. Therefore, I thought he was a twat. And then we spoke in like March this year. I was like, oh, actually, he's really sound.
Bro, that's when he said it to me. He said it to me that you were, but like, it's one of them where it's like I didn't expect it to be like that with Tim, yeah, in terms of the relationship that we're gonna have. Like, then obviously to build on from what we did build on, obviously, because when I reached out to him, I was at uni, and to be fair, boys, like when I started all of this, like I'm openly happily admit it, this is when I came away from the boxing a little. Well, when I knew that boxing wasn't going to do it for me, I was a bit lost as well, I guess. And you know, like everyone has a reason why they get into something.
Yeah.
And I was doing bodybuilding for fun, but also to be fair, my mental health at that time, because of stuff in my family that had happened like recently around that sort of time, I was still like kind of suffering from. So when I got into that bodybuilding, I just wanted to bring all my energy into it. Everyone had always said I had kind of, because I was really lean when I was boxing, and I had to stay lean every week to fight every other week, or like be ready to fight every other week. So I always had that physique, but I went into bodybuilding with an open mind. Then obviously with Tim, bro, as soon as I got in the car, so I picked him up the first time I met him. And I was messaging him. We were roasting each other from the get-go. He was basically saying he was just going to humble me, put me in my place. I was like, yeah, calm, we'll see what happens. I said, like, you can push me to that level. I said, like, I'll just keep going. I said it straight away. The first conversation we had, I said, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to bitch out. I want you to push me. And that's it. All I was thinking of in the first year was doing one season together, like 1 year together, competing, and then I was going to go back to boxing. That was the original plan. And like no one really knows that, but that was the plan. Never to be in it like this, like in it for the long run. He got in the car and we went to Graftism for the first time. Got in the back of the car because I had my little brother in the front and he was like sitting in the front. So I was like, here we go. This guy's going to be an absolute prick. I was like, I'm not going to get along with him, but fuck it. First session, we obviously did, and that was it. And then from then onwards, it was just like, yeah, we just bounced off each other. He's helped me a lot more than people know as well. Like he does, he's a caring guy. But I think it's made us be able to, because to be fair, when he had good clients and stuff before me, I'm not going to mention certain man's name on a podcast because he's a waste man and he knows he's a waste man. You can put this out there if you want.
Look, to be fair, what, because I've bleeped loads of things which I've said.
Yeah, I want to know the name.
Yeah, if you want to,
I'll tell you, is a waste man, so you can put that.
Out there. No, right. But we don't need to bleep that. He's a cunt.
No.
We said
so he's a complete waste man. So Tim's had some good guys in the past.
But as an athlete, he did quite well.
Yeah, because there was no one else really about. But yeah, let's just forget about that. He's a clown. But Tim worked with him before. Worked with a few good people. But then I think when I started working at Tim, we did something in the first year that kind of was very, very good for like just literally just started. Like had no idea what we were getting into, and that was it. And obviously winning a British title and then winning the worlds in the first year, it was good. So like I can't really complain. And then that's when I said,
and you came fourth at UKDFBA.
Yeah, man, that was shocking though. But I'm not going into that. That is shocking. Like, I'm sorry, that's shocking. And so yeah, I competed the first time because I was going to do men's physique, which was just it's never going to be me. Like it was never going to be me.
That's the thing. Like your physique, like men's physique is very bubbly.
Yeah,
you didn't. At least maybe not. Like to be fair, it'll be different to see how you look in like future shows. But by then, you weren't playing the bubbly like full. You were just playing the sharp, peel, disgustingly lean game, which isn't men's physique.
Nah, and it is, and that game in the natty world, it works. Yeah. Like that is what natty bodybuilding is all about. That's the fact. Like natty bodybuilding is that. That's what's going to stand out. Yeah. So, by that show, like the first show I did, I won. Yeah, BMBF, and then obviously, how old was I? I was at 20, and then last year, and then the show after that, UKDFBA, I didn't place where I wanted to. I'm not going to go into that.
I remember I first saw you from that BMBF show. That's what I think. That's the first time I saw you, and then I was like, then you came fourth in. It was men's physique in both of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, men's physique. So men's physique, but like it's like different in terms of.
It's a lot
BMBF like showing your legs more. So like, do you know what I mean? Because it's more like it's like the gap between classic and men's physique. It's the gap between men's physique and bodybuilding is classic, but it's like the gap between classic and men's physique. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The way they just do it. So
they call it like men's athletic, don't they?
Yeah, and it's like it's just legs out. So it's like same as men's physique, just legs out, which is fine. Like it wasn't like I kind of preferred it. But yeah, that show I came fourth in with UKDFBA, I was fuming, and I probably didn't set myself a good name at that point. To be fair, boys,
I've got a question. Your conditioning, trying to get in condition for boxing compared to bodybuilding.
Yeah. Did you find bodybuilding that much different?
Bodybuilding and boxing. Like bodybuilding is harder than boxing.
No, yeah,
to get in condition.
No, but because you've always been. Like not just lean, but like you've probably been like for boxing, pretty damn fucking lean.
I had the veins still then, like popping. Yeah, like
did you find it that? Did you find it like that much harder?
Nah, I didn't find. I don't want to say I didn't find it hard to get lean, but like.
No, but like
I didn't find it.
No, but like even like for example, like this year, I was nowhere near as lean as you.
Yeah.
but I found it so much easier than last year. I felt like this year my prep was easy to get lean. It was tiring, but it was easy.
Yeah. Nah.
But then it's
It
like
wasn't. I don't know, bro. I don't want to say like I don't want to say it's easy. I'd say for me, it's not. It's really never going to be an issue to get
I
lean and
don't.
be
Yeah, like I said, I
stage
don't think
lean.
it's not easy for you. I think it's just you're
Nah.
more attuned to it. Let's say.
Yeah, a tune,
it
but
has
it's
to be
also,
easy.
bro. The reality is, and this is the only person in this game that I've noticed and I can kind of relate to on that level is that I've seen hands on in person and seen the mindset, seen everything is Jack Attersley. Again, he comes from a boxing background. I think the boxing background plays into the condition you can get in. I mean, he didn't have to get into as much a condition because he's a mental Zeke athlete. He
He wasn't
easily
far
could
off.
have.
I wouldn't say he's far off.
Um,
Like,
no, bro, no, he's not, bro.
yeah,
He's not far off at all.
no,
Like genuinely, I remember, like that's what I'm saying. All the closest person I've seen to it, like even like how peeled his, yeah, like his legs were and stuff, even though he never showed them. So like, I do think it plays into that. Reality of it isn't just this genetics; it's a mindset that you get, and then that mindset is so much more important than the genetics because I feel like people just say straight away, "Oh, you can do that, and that's genetics, getting lean. Oh, that's why you can get more lean." There's probably a like an aspect to that, and that's fair to say. But it's also the mentality that it's actually gonna fucking hurt, and like and that's not me saying that bodybuilders don't have that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
what I will say, which is which is literally in your favor here, is that like I think there's a very big difference between, say I'm Tim and I'm coaching now, and I'm saying, right,
Mm,
I'm doing an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes of cardio today, and I've dropped your food or whatever. There's a difference between someone who takes that as a positive, which you do, than like,
yeah,
because you probably look at that as like me and Sam probably do as well, and it's like, oh, sick, I'm gonna get leaner. Whereas some people
yeah.
look at that and think, oh, I'm gonna feel bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, I don't think so. Even when that's what I'm saying, the first year I competed, it was that mindset and that mindset from the get go. I just told Tim wanted to push me, and that was because I knew I'd been pushed to a limit in boxing from such a young age, and then basically being around older people that did beat the shit out of me in a ring and like actually beat the shit out of me like physically, like a boxing thing. You had to develop that mental sort of resilience, like that mental toughness, yeah, to actually just be able to take it. And that transferred over then into bodybuilding, just being able to tick the boxes each day. But then for me, when I first competed, even to the last year, all it was genuinely about, I guess it plays into what I do say on Insta, and I genuinely mean it. I was so focused on the the journey each day of just pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself, not the show itself. The show itself was the easy bit.
Yeah.
And I was never thinking about the shows. Like genuinely, I said it on Insta and stuff. Like, but I was never thinking about the shows. Um, and I just let Tim decide that, and that's why we pulled some last year compared to we had more planned, but obviously we still did a lot. But it's just the mentality that you've got to have, and I don't want to like be rude saying this in terms of on a podcast, but I do feel like in the bodybuilding world, it's you've got to understand that you've got to have that mindset, be it any elite sport, but in this world that we're in, and this industry we're in, if you want to be in the game and you want to do well in the game, it's gonna hurt, and you have to have that relationship with pain that you actually like the pain and like see the pain as a chance to be like, yeah, I'm not just I'm a savage, like I'm growing through it. Like this is I like this shit. I don't want to be a normal person because if you look at someone, it's like when I was a boxer, you could look at them and say they're a good boxer because they're a bit tapped. You could look at someone in bodybuilding and say, yeah, that you can see they're going to be a decent bodybuilder because you could tell they're someone that doesn't give a fuck about hurting
Yeah.
and
It's
like can be in
definitely.
that pain
I,
game.
I think you almost like Joe. I think we've had like plenty of conversations like where we like you genuinely need to be like I don't I there's no good way of saying this, but you'll both get what I mean. You kind of need to be a bit like fucked in the head to be a very good bodybuilder.
Oh, mate,
Like you
you
genuinely do.
do, you
Yeah,
do.
but
And
I think
like,
any sport though, like
yeah, no, exactly. It's
Yeah.
any sport.
and the thing is, it's an experience thing, right? Like you've almost had not. It's not even a cheat code really, but you coming from a background of having that already, that broken down, being broken down before, coming into a sport where you require that, you basically skip part of the step because you think about the first,
Yeah.
first timers.
Like for example,
One
if
second, one second. Let me finish this.
sorry.
Because you fucking speak of me every time. Let me just finish this off
Sorry.
for a
I'm sorry.
second. Shut the fuck up for a second, all right? So first timers competitors, like they always come in, they're not the best, and the first prep's always the hardest. It's always the most rough one, and it takes a few preps to probably bring you your ultimate best. Whereas, like I said, yourself, you've already been in somewhat of a similar condition via boxing and been pressured many ways before, where you come into this
Yeah.
first prep and pretty much you you walked it enough, didn't you? And in the second prep, even more. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I
I think
think
you
it's
skipped a
that.
few. You skipped a few steps.
Yeah, I think it's that, but I just think it's, and I don't. Again, it's like what I said, I've said it to you before, Josh, but I think it is something that nowadays, and it is, mate. Again, it was the same when I was boxing. Boxing was getting bigger, and it was the trend at the time, and everyone was getting. This is when I was already in it, but it was a time when I had my mates messaging me saying, "Oh, I want to come box. I want to get in the ring, spar," and I would just look at them and be like, "You don't. Like, you just don't." And like nowadays, it's almost a bit like, and this is not, again, like I said, being rude at all, but it's nowadays people are seeing bodybuilding as they can still be a bodybuilder and live like a bodybuilder and have all of that mindset and the goal of growing muscle and improving their physique. But you don't have to step on stage just for the sake of it, just for Instagram for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And I feel like from the get go, when I first competed, I didn't have it for the wrong reasons. I just wanted to do it for me. And like that was a genuine thing. And like at that point, mate, I still had my old fitness page, which was like just fucking a few hundred followers. Literally, just I just posted boxing stuff on there, like a spar or like a me doing a run when I was doing my 10-mile run or like a fucking 40-mile bike ride at the weekend, just for like cardio wise. Yeah, I feel like it's I was not doing it for the wrong reasons from the start, and then stuff started to like benefit me almost from that when I was posting stuff. Yeah, and you're getting views and people think it's all about that. It's not. And it was never like that for me. And people just in it for the wrong reasons and they don't understand that being a bodybuilder and then competing, as you boys both know, and like you've done it and you've put yourself there in that position, it's tough. And
Yeah.
that's just what, like, I guess something that I'm better when I'm in pain like that. Like I just am better than being just like a normal person. I can't be a normal person. When I'm a normal person, like I've been for the large chunk of this year because of what's been going on in terms of business and setting up this. I'm not happy. I thrive in that
I
uncomfortable
agree.
zone.
I agree, to be honest. I am a,
You boys get it. So
Yeah. It's like I to some sort of degree, I'm quite similar. Like
mm,
in a way, like I kind of and I've made like I've joked about this, but like in a certain way, like it is the complete truth in the sense of like if something if something I want to do is being made more difficult or more or harder or something because of something else, it makes you want to do it more because I'm like
yeah,
I know that I want to do this, but I know it's so much harder now. So I know I'm going to not only enjoy it more, but I'm going to get more out of it as a result.
that's it, and
And
that's
again,
it.
that goes back to like being almost like I don't want to say a bit sadistic because that almost sounds a bit like over the top, but I do think that if you can almost like latch onto anything which has been maybe a bit negative, anything like that, and turn it into a positive, you're going to get so much more out of whatever you're doing, whether that's business, whether that's
100%.
whether that's whatever. But not everyone can. A lot
Yeah.
of people almost have this like sort of like victim mentality, and again, like that, this goes for a lot of people who prep. They think, again, my
Mm.
food's been dropped, my cardio's been upped. Oh, I feel horrendous. This is terrible. But then the other end of the spectrum is like people who look upon that and they think, oh, I feel really fucked, so I'm probably going to wake up leaner.
Yeah, but
You know
I
what I mean?
wasn't, to
And they
be
look at
fair,
that as
bro.
a positive.
Bro, my positive was I'm just becoming more savage mentally every single day. That was not even it. I didn't even care about having more lines in my glutes. That was just me as a person, though. Like, and that's like everyone's gonna have a reason why. A positive, like you said,
Hmm.
but like I think it just comes down to the original question was Sam saying about the condition versus boxing and bodybuilding. Bodybuilding condition is harder. Boxing mentality is you get in a ring, you're fighting, but you get in a ring, you're sparring. There's a lonely place. Um, like quite literally a lonely place, and you have to stand up for yourself. But then that kind of transfers over into bodybuilding because you're no one's there to do the steps for you. No one's there to do the little things like do the cardio in the morning when you're fucked. No one's there to tell you you can have a training partner, but I never liked a training partner telling me, oh, push another rep, push another rep. You've got to do this. Oh, after you've trained, you've got to do rounds when you're on prep and you're fucked. So no one's there to do it for you. You've got to have it, and you've got to be that person. And that's when
Yeah.
you know someone's put 100% in on prep, and you can see it on stage, and someone hasn't. And you know what it is? I could always see when I was boxing, I could see, look at someone, be like, I know you cheated on this like camp. I can tell you, like, just the way you are, like in your eyes, you could say that person hasn't
Yeah.
given 100% in camp. Same in bodybuilding, you can tell when someone hasn't given 100%. They might have had a late night. I'll go and have a fucking something my coach isn't going to know about. Fuck that. You've got to do it for you, not your coach anyway, not for Instagram, not for that. That's what people are getting mixed up on, and they're thinking it's a cool thing to do. Don't get me wrong, it is a cool thing to do, but it's also doing it for the wrong reasons is the whole issue within this whole thing now. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, conditioning, bodybuilding, conditioning, boxing is easy because you want to do it. You're not doing it for the sake of it. You want to do it. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you though. Do you know the whole like I don't basically what I'm saying is like prep is my best self. Like I am my best self in prep.
Yeah.
Um, in the off season, I'll be honest, I'm great, but I'm my best self in prep. And the reason why is because of again, it's all these challenges and like Josh said, someone's putting something harder on you each day and you have to take it there and you have to do it and
Yeah.
but you want to do it because it's more of a challenge and you're pushing yourself
Yeah.
to that barrier. Whereas in the off season, again, I'll be honest, I'm not the best athlete all year round. I'll be honest, I'm not. In the off season,
Bro,
I'm 80%.
Yeah, but
But
bro,
that's
last year. Sorry, I competed the first year. I'll say this straight up. Tim will tell me not to even say this. I'll say this. I don't give a shit.
We got cut off because my Mac nearly died and I had a panic attack.
You're busting too much.
So yeah, if anyone would like to sign up to coaching right now, so I could buy a new Mac for the next episode, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, as you were saying, Joe, I don't know what you were about to say. You said Tim doesn't want
Because Sam was saying about
being
80% in the off
nah,
season.
80%. And I think last year when I went into my second season, which was so much better than my first season, somehow did manage to put that tissue on a little compared to the first year. If you look at the difference, it was mad. And I've actually never shared that, which is stupid. And I wish I did last year. And but apart from this year, taking a break from socials really until recently, I never really shared it. But I was not 100% straight after I won that Worlds, like because I was on that
you know
prep.
if you did, if you were 100% though, you burn out.
Bro, like I am. I'll be honest, yeah. I am actually like a robot that can just do it in terms of on prep, and no one will do more than me on a prep.
Yeah,
And in off season, I can do that as well, but and I feel that anyone can if you put your mind to it. But it's like I've made myself so unhappy from doing. I feel like until this year, I took some time where you have a bit more balance in your life. Last year when I competed, I won what I did. I was that year when I won what I did. The start of that year, I was suffering mentally. Like that's when I had really bad mental health. Yeah, when I got into bodybuilding, and like no one like you say that to people, but they don't really know. Like it was bad. Like it was bad shit. And then when I won what I won, it was just like it was like a come down almost. You know, like a bit like I guess I relate to that Tyson Fury when he won what he did, and then it was like boom, it just kind of went down. Like because it just had such a high. Every high is going to come with a bigger low, and I feel like in bodybuilding, you have to learn how to deal with that as well. When
It's that
prep
balloons, isn't it?
finishes,
Yeah,
It's
it's
that
like
post-show
prep
balloons.
finishes, yeah, and like that's when I just like it was that first year. I've never done it before, so I was not 100% in that like that off season. It was a few months, and then we weren't going to compete last year. That we were never meant to compete last year. Like Tim was like, we're not competing next year. Like when I competed the first year, we were like, we're not competing next year, and then he was like, fuck it. Do you want to just do like a prep, like do you know what I mean, a couple shows? Because he could see that I was, for one, it was like I was better, but I grow, not even grow, I get better on prep than I do in an off season. And he was like, if we
Yeah.
put now we say we're going prep. He was like, we're gonna. That's why I started prep so early last year because he was like, we'll start prep now. Yeah, it's prep, but like for you, like prep's different than like how long other people are going to do it because you can do it for a long time, and then each show you're just going to get better. And obviously we did, but like I wasn't 100% last year between those two seasons, and I think that's something that yeah you can do that, and I know people say it out there they're going to love doing that, but I did that for so long when I was boxing. Most boxers fight, even amateur, you fight, then you have like 2-3 months off where you can like do a bit more normal stuff and do you know what I mean? Go out with your missus, get food with your boys. just do whatever. I never did that for so long. So then, like, I think I realized that you can still do that even in bodybuilding, even if people don't think you can, and actually still get better. Like, I got better in those 2 years,
Yeah.
like in my first 2 seasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think people go 100%, they burn out, but then the reality is, there again, they're just being sheep and they're just following the crowd and thinking they can't live life and do it the way they want to do it. Like I say, you've got to do it the way you want to do it. I'm going to bodybuild the way I want to do it. That's the reason why I couldn't work with another coach. I could only work with Tim, because the reality is, in terms of the way that I want to do bodybuilding, Tim understands now. He got it straight away, and I'm sure it's the same with you, Josh. He understands you. He's good at that. Good with that.
Yeah, that's something which I actually said to Tim was I think when you coach anybody or when you've been coached by anybody, you obviously you work your best, the two of you, when that
Yeah,
coach gets you, when that coach gets
yeah, bro.
gets your mind clicking. Tim
Yeah,
got me within like 2 weeks.
yeah,
Like
bro. And so like
I
he
started
got
with
me.
Tim, but the thing is, I told Tim this about a couple of weeks ago. I decided I want to prep the day that me and you like first like properly spoke, you know, at FitX.
Yeah, but I knew you were gonna prep straight away then, because Tim told me.
No, no, because I no,
I'm joking. I'm
no,
joking.
no, no,
And he
no, no,
said,
no.
bro, he was getting you on a prep. That's what his plan was all along. He said he was going to get you to prep this year.
So yeah, as you were saying, the Zoom died again, which is fantastic. Um, so yeah, you weren't going to compete last year, but like as we were saying, like I think Tim's very good at just like understanding how someone ticks, and I think that's what makes him very good as well. Is
Yeah,
that's probably one of the first things I think he actually even looks for is like how you work and how to make you work better as a result of that.
yeah. I feel like so. Like that was the first year when I competed. At the end of that year, that's when like I used to be so against it. Like so, genuinely I did. Like I hated the Instagram. I hated the TikTok. That's when I used to take the piss out of TikTok so bad.
Yeah,
And then
I've got a really good question here, right? Which I'll try. I forgot to ask earlier. When did you get a bit more popular on Instagram, and how did it come about, and how did it make you feel?
Oh, bro, 'cause it came so quick, didn't it, bro?
It's literally like it was. No one knows Joe Gillen. Everyone knows.
Overnight, bang, bro.
Yeah,
Because I saw you on my TikToks when
did it
I
like fuck with your
before I
head
knew
like
you.
that? Yeah,
ah,
did it
I
like
saw you on
nah,
TikTok.
it did. It did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm happy to talk. That's what I'm saying. So when I competed that first year,
so
and I posted on
first show,
TikTok.
that first show you ever do? Are you big on Instagram at this point?
Bro, when I did my first show, I was just like my Instagram was like right at the bottom, like it's all archived, but just like that, my main Instagram was literally just fucking 2,000, 3,000 followers private, bro. It was just my mates, like my boys and that following me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I competed, and then I made it not private. And I put the stage shots on, and that did well. But then it gets more exposure. And then at the end of when I was in the Cayman Islands, that's when I screenshot it. Like I could get them up. Like, let me just show you. Actually, I got them up, and it was like the end of the Caymans, and my growth was like seven. My counter reach was like 7.5 mil in my
What?
first year. Yeah, just sat there for like months, and that's when I was like, this is a bit mad. So then when I did, that's why I think then last year, the first year I competed, when I posted on TikTok, and I got the 12 million views and like 2 million likes on that TikTok video. I hated it. I haven't put like this year. I haven't posted on it when I took time away because of this. Yeah, we can go into this after in terms of the effect it does have. But I just literally just doing it for the fun. And then when I did that video, it was the night before the British finals, the second to last show in my first year. And I was like, and then people send it to me like fucking out, like this, that, and the other. Like people's commenting, this is good. Like people are sharing it, people are sharing it. And I was just like, it's just a bit mad because it was just a straight up video. Views on TikTok though aren't as big as views on Instagram. So then last year I got views on Instagram when I started working with a videographer the first year in my prep. I started working with him for the last 2 shows, and we did some cool stuff. He reached out to me, but then I didn't. End of last year when I first competed, I had. Then at end of not last year, end of 2 years ago when I first competed, I had 25,000 followers. No, 30,000 followers, and then last year it just went up to 60, and then this year's just 67. That's because I ain't been on it, but like I do. It's not even necessarily about being on prep and doing it. It's just about But I think when you get some following, then it does just keep going. I think it's getting over that like 20K, 30K mark, and then it does go up.
Slingshots, isn't it?
Um,
It's like, for
yeah,
example, it's like when you start an Instagram account, right? And obviously you'll get like what, a couple of hundred like, just people you know through like school or whatever.
yeah,
But then it's like you get to 1,000, that takes fucking ever. Then the next thousand's not too bad. And then like
yeah,
this year, like I'm nowhere near big as you, but like I've gained like 800 in like in the time that it probably took me the time to get from, I don't know,
yeah.
1.5K to 1.6K.
But bro, I think genuinely, and this is what I'd say like to you boys as well, you know, and this is obviously on the podcast, is like I think people like don't realize that it's like the biggest thing I think I did from when I started and actually started sharing it on Instagram was sharing so much detail of like kind of spamming a bit like you're doing now, Josh, yeah, like on your stories, like spamming like what you're doing on a day to day. Because still now, like my retention of the people that followed me start to follow me now, that's what's like kept it there. And it's like they just want to know about your journey, and that's what. But for all of us on our own journeys anyway, that's what you want. You don't want people for the sake of it following you. You want people there that are like, yeah,
Yeah.
And
do you know what I mean?
that's what I quite like now. And like, I think it's even like the same for like Sam, like the type of people that, like interact with you. It's like, I feel like people who follow me, granted, like to be fair, I actually would rather it in a different way, to be honest. I feel like it's very good that people who follow me now know me quite well without even meeting me. And now
Yeah,
I feel like they probably see a better version of me than what I probably saw like a year ago. Whereas like now I'm just being me, and that's sometimes a bit sarcastic, that's sometimes a bit childish,
yeah.
but that's just me. And thankfully enough people like me for that. Nowhere near as much as Joe. But in a way, because of like what my work is, I'd rather the same amount of following, but people just follow me for being a coach because obviously I'm gonna make more money.
No, no, but that's one thing again. I would say, and I don't think it's actually cool. I don't think it matters. Like a following means fuck all, mate.
Oh no,
It
no,
really
yeah, yeah,
does.
Yeah.
that's there'll be there's some coaches out there who have got 5, 6, 7K Instagram followers, but they're turning over like
Yeah, no, but it depends what you want to be known as in terms of that's one thing. If you want to do one-to-one coaching, it doesn't really matter. If you
no.
want to then be able to open yourself up to other things in terms of if you're more of an not say more of an athlete, but it just depends on what you want to do, then I guess it does. But like, bro, when I started, look, that was like you can't really see, but this was like nine. I can't even see it. It's nine. I had 9K when after the last show of the first year. Um, and then no, before I went to the Caymans, and then it just went up from 9K, 15K, 20K, 24K,
Fucking hell.
26K, 33K, and then it just sat at 40K. And then last year it went from 40K up to 60K, and that was it. And it's just been sat there. But
So,
like,
oh, what I want to know is like how how does that like impact you mentally? Was it a good thing, or was it a case where you're like maybe second guessing things more, caring more,
yeah.
and is it a case where like I don't know, are you like did you like push yourself harder without even realizing it because of social media? And that's not to say that you are. That's just
Nah, so like I said, when I went, this all goes back. That question still goes back to last year. And when I competed last year, that was off the back of having this big following, this like all of a sudden, and this like name. So then like that's the TikTok name started on Jfreaky, started on TikTok. When someone started spamming it on TikTok, it was like Joe Schulk on TikTok, who's
yeah,
like this big guy in
yeah,
America. He
yeah.
does his vein stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got a big following. Like he's with Young LA, he's their guy, and it started like that, and then because then I just kind of didn't know how to deal with kind of I guess that's when I didn't know how to deal with just getting this following all of a sudden, and it's like it. I don't want to say it's that, but when you've won something and then you've got following, it's like then it's like kind of you feel like people are starting to make it a bigger deal than it is in terms of you know, like when you go out and you're like this is like 2 years ago when you go out and it's like they've got following, that's really cool, like I'm gonna I want to speak to him because of that, and it's not that, but at the time it did feel a bit like that. Do you know what I mean? When it just
I
happens
think
quite
it's even
quick.
like within like a prep, for example, because like me and
Yeah,
Sam have nowhere near the same amount of following as you, but like on a show day or like the night before a show, if we post up a photo with us at like tan on and whatever, the amount of people who will just message, like saying like
yeah,
on,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
nailed, shit like that. Like I didn't realize it until my first show last year. Like granted, I didn't look anywhere near as good as I did this year, but like and I didn't look as good as I did 6 weeks before my first show last year. But it was still a case where people were saying like, "Oh, win in the bag and shit like that." Like,
Yeah. Nah, it's like that. It was
And
it was like that.
then I even started thinking, I was like, oh fuck, well, I better win now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Like, look,
It was like that for me. And then that's why then last year I said, so like this is a whole other topic we could touch on straight after if you want, just briefly is I said to Tim, I was like, I wanted to grow, don't get me wrong, but like I didn't, so Tim did want me to go, and Tim said to my dad and said to like my family and that like I need to like because I didn't have wanted to be a bodybuilder still. Do you know what I mean? I was going to go back to boxing, but then because I got all of this following, not because of it, because I had this following and because I enjoyed it so much, I pushed myself, got myself through a lot of things, and I found out about myself, and I did become a better person. I then did let it. I guess Tim said that I should go down the bodybuilding route and see because he said to my mum and dad I can go all the way in that from that first year, and then um, I wanted to then last year just kind of prove because I felt like boys, even though I was giving it the big one, yeah, I felt like that first year when I got peeled, I was like, nah, like I don't know if I can do this again. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know if it was like, yeah, I'm giving it like I can do this, do it again, especially like as a natty. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't think I could do it again. So then I said to Tim, I was like, I do kind of want to do a prep this year, even though we weren't planning on it. It was playing on my mind so much, and I was like, I wanted to show myself that I could do it again. I needed to stop doubting myself because I think because I got this following because of what I did in that first year, I didn't want it to be that that's just the following off that and that was just a one season thing or like like a one season wonder. I wanted to show
yeah,
myself that I can do it again and just
Yeah.
do it better because I knew that I could have done more in that first year because I wasn't the person I was in terms of the strong as I was last year. So I went into prep. And obviously, then that's when it just, yeah, I mean, that's when I think everyone saw it a bit more because I was bodybuilding then. Do you know what I mean? Last prep. But it does definitely make you feel a little bit different. And to be honest, again, on reflection, I think when I did first prep and I first got this following, it definitely made me a little waste, man. And I was I came across like a cocky little see you next Tuesday, to be honest. And I came across like that, and I'm just a normal, genuine guy. And like, I'm just someone who cares for the people, my friends and like my family. I mean, I'm just someone caring person that's,
Yeah.
yeah, can be strong worded and strong minded, but I was cocky, came across cocky, and that was just covering up this insecurity. So I wanted
I
to show
think
that
what it is,
last
it's
year.
like maybe like your way of, and like this is no disrespect for you at all. I think the way in which you go about things isn't how everyone else would, but
No.
anyone who speaks to you can tell that like your intentions are in the right place.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like they
I've
like
changed. I have changed about. I have switched it up a little bit though. To be fair, this year, genuinely, like even genuinely, as in the years gone on, I can feel that with certain things, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is like I think it was because it all happened so quick from when I was actually not in a good position. But
yeah.
then the end of that year, winning what I'd won and having a following what you had like. I'm not saying it's all about that, but you have a following. You think, yeah, this is cool. It kind of just made you. It does make you feel like I don't care what people say, and the people will be like, oh, you already got that many followers. There's people with loads more. I'm sure these people that do Love Island, all these people that do these sort of shows, these sort of things, reality shows, when they get overnight shit, it was because it happened quite quick and just having my name out there more. It can make you a bit cocky and not the real person you are. And I
Yeah.
wasn't ever showing the real person I was. Do you know what I mean? So then last year I wanted to work on that again and actually show it a bit more. But still, didn't come across the way I want to come across because of strong minded person. And then I guess you just live and you learn. But it does make you realize because bro, like even now when I'm posting stuff, like I have to show my misses, like because like I don't want to like put anything out there. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this is the weird thing. It's like when you have a smaller following, and I'm not saying this should stop me anyway, but it does a bit. You shouldn't. You should still just want to share the journey and share the raw things with people. But
Yeah.
it does play into your mind a little bit more. You're thinking, "Oh fuck me, this person's going to see it." Do you know what I mean that person's going to see it? Because
We
the
got
reality is,
60,000 eyes on you instead of, well,
yeah,
3,000
but bro,
like
bro,
my
it's
son.
never that. It's never that, bro. It's actually never that. It's normally more. I have random people coming to my thing.
Obviously, yeah,
Random
random
people
anonymous,
coming to my
isn't
thing.
it?
Yeah, random things come on, and it's like the reach is always higher, but it's more just you don't want to say anything out of line. You just want to be careful what you're putting out there. So
But
yeah, I
that's
guess it is.
like now. I don't post anything about myself, about my personal life on my
No,
Instagram. My close friends,
Nah.
I'll put like a little bit on there, but like
Mm.
as much as I do share a lot about myself on my main Instagram story, what I post, etc., because my life is literally I train, I work, and that is literally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of like my actual personal life, like what goes on with me, I don't really feel the need to put it on there because I feel like if it's out there, it's out for other people's interpretation way too much, and it's also none of other people's business.
Nah. And that's something I don't think it is. And again, to be fair, that was something like when I remember last year when I did a video, and I always remember it as a Ben Bray.
Mhm.
When I was with him, because I speak to him a lot and I'm good mates with him. But when I was speaking to him, he was saying the same thing. And it's like you putting out too much stuff isn't a good thing anywhere on social media because it is a toxic place. That's why I probably put more of my close friends as well because people that actually just don't mind seeing. Do you know what I mean? Like the
Exactly.
funny shit that goes on. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like when I prepped last year, I wanted to do it for a reason of actually not do it for socials. So that's when I did brush it to the side. And that's why, like on TikTok last year when I competed, I didn't post until the last fucking show. And then I just spammed a few videos up there and got a few views. But like even on Instagram, like last year, if I was doing it for Instagram and the wrong reasons, I would have been active on Instagram this year much more than I am. I would have been active on Instagram to start a prep and like in the off season pre-prep phase last year much more than I was. But I wasn't doing it for that. I just want to share my journey, grow myself, and people are out there peaking way too early with their like whole careers in terms of we're so young, us guys. There's people out there, these influencers that are clowns. They're not going to bodybuild. They don't have physiques like us anyway. But they're just there. Those sort of people. They're going to peak with their coaching business, with their all of these different things way too quick because all they're doing is chasing, following, and chasing that clout.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
not it. That's not it. You've got to build your personal brand and find that out along the way. And that's what I realized as well. Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
just I'm still on that fucking journey, mate. To be honest, like
Yeah.
I said it to Josh, I think many times. Like I don't know how much. Josh, have I come to you before like this? I don't know. I just never know what to post. I never know what to do with myself on Instagram.
Yeah.
I just don't.
That's it's like, but it's weird because if you were to say, "Oh, what could I post?" If you literally like say, we've done it plenty of times where like we'll message each other like, "Oh, what do you reckon I could post about today?" I could probably give you 5 ideas like that. You probably give me 5 ideas like that, but it doesn't come naturally all the time.
Yeah,
Bro.
But then that,
Facts. And that's facts.
but then that's something where like sometimes you don't always need to be thinking I need to be doing all this because otherwise you'll just put out shit which like is
you don't
just
like.
incredibly oversaturated. Like there's no point, for example, me and Sam, a lot of the stuff we put out is coaching related, right? There's no point in me and Sam putting out a reel about how important a pre-workout meal is because every other person's done that.
Yeah. And
Not
now you know what it is. I know what I genuinely think it is. And that's what I'm saying this year compared to like when I was posting a lot more last year and the year before, I took a step away. It wasn't necessarily because of that reason. It was because gets to the point where you just feel like you want to work on yourself and having that social media aspect is like it's almost a responsibility and it's a stress and a pressure that you're thinking, fuck, what have I got to post? I've got to post this. I've got to please these people. I've got to post that. And then it's like you just think, why are you doing it? And you're doing it for the wrong reasons then still. But it's like I then took that step away a bit this year, and that's for other stuff I wanted to fix and mental stuff again, just so I can actually level up myself going into when I compete again and going into business going forward. But I think people need to just remember that the people that do the best on the socials in terms of coaching, like you guys are doing, or anything, it's like just sharing you because you are the personal brand. It's so like for me, I'm sometimes hesitant on thinking, oh, I'm going to put a dump up because like my name's Jfreaky on Instagram, doing this, that, and the other. I'm not going to want to do that, and that's put me off for a long time this year. But then again, your Instagram is just a fucking page. Like all you're doing is just sharing what you want to share. It's going to bring people in, but just being able to do it consistently and actually just share authentic stuff, not like you said,
That's the
oversaturated
that's the
shit.
hardest part. I everything that I post, I like to post, but the issue is
Yeah,
it's finding stuff where I could every day to post something I want to. Like I look at Christian's page and he posts lots of stuff which I like. I
Chris.
like and I like and I like I like I
Yeah,
like what he posts and I know that he likes what he posts, but I'm just not in the position necessarily at his position to have like all these client photos and these and this. yet about to post it every day. So I might be like once, 3 times a
Yeah,
week maybe, and it's so
yeah,
hard to keep
And that,
thinking
that
of.
that's where like something I know that like I'm a lot better at than I thought was like I'm quite good at just chatting and just being me. So I'm
yeah.
like, and that's why like when I was in prep, I was like, right, I'm just gonna film for YouTube once or twice a week and just do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
And
like
I've definitely
it's a
fallen off it, and
niche.
that's something which I do need to get back into. Is just like I had it not again, like it's not massive, but it's a case where like if you're getting that amount of content out, especially with YouTube, for example, when it's like longer form, if you're getting a couple of hundred views on that, that's a couple of hundred people watching you for say 20 to 30 minutes at a time, which is significantly longer than a fucking 10-second Instagram reel.
Exactly.
And then for
100%,
what
bro.
I want to get out of it, that makes a lot more. But for example, with you, Joe, where it's a case of you're just trying to grow your name, and at least not until Monday, there's not a brand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, I think I agree. But I just think people, including me, and like I said, and that's probably why I went so quiet this year. So I just wanted to, I wasn't doing it for the socials in terms of, yeah, I was getting all of these views and stuff. Like I got more views last year on the videos. It was like 10 million views on Instagram videos. Like, brings a lot of shit, negative shit. Everyone's saying you're not natty, this, that. That over time does kind of it does affect you a little bit when you're working, and me and Tim would sit there the night before show and we'd look at the comments and we'd laugh, and he'd always support it and stuff. But then it got to the point like this year where I just wanted a break in terms of to actually work on myself. And then, like I said, because I think this is the first year ever that I actually took some time away from 14 when I trained. If you ask my family and like my friends when I was younger, I have been in a gym since I was 14, training like an absolute psychopath. So be it, it's not bodybuilding, it's boxing, like I've said to you. So then this year, it's been nice to have that time a little bit, like away from, yeah, not competing for 1 year of my life because I've just been competing all the time. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a bit of a reset. But like when you think about content and what you're trying to post, I've been in that position where you fall into that hole of you want to post different stuff, you want to be authentic, but you look at other people's pages, you're like, that looks good. I do that. But people are just going to buy into you for who you are, and it's why like Christian always said it to me, um like me and him would take the piss out of each other to do with like different things we put on socials and that, but like but they've got to buy into your personal brand. Me putting up a video like you said of me being shredded, it's not just me being shredded, it shows the what goes into that to get that shredded, and that's like part of the brand that I'm trying to build anyway. But then
Right.
like Christian, someone that's like what Christian does this all this funny stuff. He has all these clients. Yeah, like you said, Sam, you want to do that more. But Christian's like he's older and he didn't skip this process that all of us are on. He didn't peak early like these clowns that are just working with Gymshark and that. He
Yeah.
actually took his time and built something for himself, and that's what people aren't doing. And I think that's what everyone needs to remember when they're in our
I
position is
started
you don't
rushing.
have to rush it.
Like I think
Sorry,
a lot
bro.
of people like quite similar to almost like the position that you were in, Joe, but I think you've done it a lot better and a lot differently, is they'll blow up on TikTok. I think TikTok is if you've got the right fit for it, if you fit into that bracket of fit in the algorithm or whatever, I think people just blow up at that. And
Yeah.
in a way they're an online coach. But then they don't know how to do
There's a
coaching.
few names that I know.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
few
I
names
could
that
name
I know.
fucking everyone. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna
It's
say I
what
can name
Again,
fucking
you
everyone.
literally
again, like,
there's a category TikTok coaches, I
yeah,
call them.
but like they're not actually like yeah they might have loads more clients than these other people, but like their retention's not very good. They don't really work with people longer
I've
than
taken a few clients from them, let's just say that.
and it's but they'll always get people because of it's just the brand, but then it's almost like there's nothing to support that long term. You're getting that short
Yeah.
term really big burst, but you're not gonna that short term burst isn't gonna do you for 10-15 years. It's how
No.
you build upon that, and it's how
That's
you
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, bro. And I think again, people that are focusing because when I first started posting on TikTok and that, I think people posting on TikTok, it's not the same as posting on Instagram anymore for like
I hate
business reasons and your
I hate
brand. No, exactly, it's not. And I just did it for fun. And I'll be honest, I'm not like again, genuinely, I believe if I posted last year, I didn't stop after my first prep and carried on posting and then posted last year. I'm sure I probably have a million on there right now. So I regret that because I just got it so quick. I did
yeah.
get it so quick though. It was so easy. I mean, it was so easy. Like, and it's just an algorithm, like you said. But also, then people go into it and And then I feel like then the people on TikTok are just saying they're straight away their coaches. We're in an oversaturated field. You've got to be different. You've got to be authentic. You've got to stand out, even if it means you're only working with a smaller group of people. Eventually, over time, it's going to pay off because again, you look at all these top coaches in the country now that have got all these clients. They didn't just blow up on socials. They're not. They might have got a social media now, but they just worked with small amounts of people and then built themselves up over time. And it's a long process. But so is bodybuilding. So bodybuilding and coaching, you can take so much away from what you do on bodybuilding and then transfer it over into your own business. And that's what I've realized is all the discipline you have, all of the trust in that whole process and stuff, you take that over into business. And 95% of the normal population aren't going to have those skills that you guys, that like if you're a real bodybuilder and you've done the bodybuilding well, they're not going to have that. Do you know what I mean? So it's an advantage as well. And they do link. And that's why you see these top coaches that have taken their time, but they're where they want to be now. And if you want to be a coach, you don't have to be like these TikTokers and just blow up for some stupid video, say you know how to coach someone, but you don't know how to coach yourself. Like, that's just it. And people are rushing the process. Like I said to you, hands down, not just with everything in terms of rushing to get followers, rushing to bodybuild because they want followers, rushing to be a coach because they think it's easy. And everyone nowadays, our society's got so fucking soft in terms of they just want to get something easy and they don't realize how long it's actually going to take.
Oh
That's
yeah,
it.
I think coaching is massively underestimated how much you actually need to put into it, and not just how much you need to put into it, but how much you need to put into it for a long period of time. Like,
Yes.
and it's like I think with coaching, I've said this to Sam and people in the past. I feel like no matter how good of a coach you are, you need to have that little bit of luck. You need to have
Yeah.
that sort of spike. Maybe it might be a client transformation. It might be something to go your way. That's
I think you got that this year, Sam, by the way. Sorry.
I was
yeah,
gonna. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
literally said that to Josh. I said I'm lucky that I took Josh from when he was Josh Connolly when he was obviously a natty and I was bigger than him, right? And I saw something and I was close with him. But I'm grateful that he stayed with me this whole process. And he keeps with
Yeah.
me. That's my lucky ticket. And Josh
Yeah.
Connolly knows that, but he knows I do everything.
Bro, Tim again. Sorry, Tim's an example though. Sorry, Tim, when Tim was that first year I prepped with Tim, Tim didn't have the clients he had now. And
No,
I'm not saying it's like that, but he didn't. And then because then I got the exposure, it's like Jack Hattersley said, because I don't even know if I put this on the podcast, you might have to bleep this, but Jack was
no.
he's a cunt. But yeah, like he's a straight up cunt and I hate him and he knows that. But like he then
But
he
do you want us to bleep that out?
yeah, probably bleep that bit. Maybe you got like you can bleep the rest. Like realistically, yeah. So Jack Hattersley,
We'll bleep the name. And we'll
yeah,
bleep what
Hattersley then said like that's why then he saw Tim. He was like he wanted to look like that. I'm not saying like because do you know what I mean? It's just
Oh no,
like
no, but like that's for example, like the main reason which I wanted to join it with Tim is because like I was looking at the clients who were on stage last year. You,
yeah,
Jack Clough, I know he didn't coach him for his whole prep, but I was
yeah,
looking at like how like the standard was in terms of like conditioning, in terms of like every single one of his clients were like the best that they could be on their show day, and I was like, well, I want to be the best I can on my show day.
that's what I'm saying. It's like same with you, Sam. You've got someone this year, and that's it. But it's just build. It's just it takes time, I think, and like the whole fucking topic comes up from asking about socials, and I guess the answer to it is it does make you feel a bit different, and people change when they have a following. You see people that have a following in this industry, you know, in our like actual bodybuilding industry, not talking like go to the gym, you're a fitness influencer, bodybuilders that have a following, bodybuilding influencers, they say.
Yeah.
It does affect everyone differently, doesn't it? But yeah, I think it's an age thing though still. And then when you get used to it, you start being more under like cautious on what you're putting out there. You can't really just put out stuff for the sake of it because yeah, people are gonna people like you said, more eyes are on you. And then people then that could make people do it for the wrong reasons. But no, it genuinely didn't with me. Because otherwise I would have been posting more this year, but I didn't want to post this year. Like I took some time away. Do you know what I
So
mean? And then I come back and that's it.
before we get on to like a few questions, what I want to ask, I'm not too sure how much you want to say on it. What is the level up?
So basically, I was
By
like
the way,
2 years, it was like a year ago.
this will definitely be up after it's come out because of how
No,
much.
that's fine. Nah, it's basically So I wanted to build. I've been coaching. Yeah, I've had clients like from when I first. So before I got into bodybuilding, and I was boxing. I was a PT. Because I had all of that behind me. I did all of that, and I enjoyed it. And I started doing online clients, and believe like I've had when I first competed and when I was first competing at Tim, I had I don't want to say like numbers, but I had a fair amount of online clients, and I've always had that. And I've always done online coaching, but never really kind of announced myself as in my own brand because I did always want to. I don't want to say you can't be both, but I did want to be the main character still in terms of the level up is the brand that I'm building around me, um, and not like being known as a coach. I wanted to be known as a coach for my own brand, but it's like kind of like a brand that's built around me in terms of when my journey grows and my whole vision grows and what I want to do in this bodybuilding game, then the platforms grows around me. So it takes time in terms of the vision putting it together. But I didn't want to just be
So is
an
the
athlete
level up,
or a
like
coach.
is the level up like coaching basically?
It's coaching. It's coaching. Yeah, it's coaching aspect in terms of the one-to-one coaching. That's all there. But then there's basically simply put, there's different levels on the app in terms of for people to then get themselves on a program, a program, a program and nutrition. And then like another aspect feature of it is when they can get one-to-one coaching. And I've never advertised that in terms of the clients that I've worked with in the past as being a coach because I've always wanted to be an athlete. Do you know what I mean? But I actually am really passionate about helping people on their own journeys as well. And that's why it's like you see people when they get, I guess it's not you get a following, you build a name for yourself, then it's like having an app is like an easier way of hitting larger groups of people. Because you want to give them more in terms of some people might not be able to pay for a one-to-one coach like us guys understand that it is expensive and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's
It's a
a way of
luxury.
hitting. Yeah, it is like so it's a way of hitting a larger group of people and building that kind of vision of having an impact on their life in terms of all that I've learned different at the mental lab talking about mental health, mental resilience and stuff. That's all on there. So it's more of an app. When I say it's an app, it's the app's a way of showcasing it, but it's from Monday, then it will be obvious what it actually is in terms of a platform that's got so many different features. Yeah, it has coaching. Yeah, it has you can get shredded, you can grow, you can do these things. But like going into the new year, it'll make more sense with like coaches coming on and stuff to work on the brand from the get-go. And that's already lined up to be fair. So like, yeah, it's a big thing. That's what I'm saying. It's been a long old project, but I didn't want to rush it. And like I said to you guys, it's good things are going to take time and people miss the steps. I've trusted the process for a long time with it, but that's because I want to be able to actually help people and develop my own knowledge as a coach for one, but then give them stuff that other apps or other platforms and brands don't give them. You know what I'm like? I'm like I say, the importance of the mental side of shit, the mental game, and that is so important. So that's a big part of it. Obviously, you get weekly calls if you're in the community, basically like an exclusive members chat. You know, like you get on Instagram, that
Yeah,
features
yeah,
in
yeah.
there, loads of things. But yeah, and it'll be cool, and I'm excited to be fair, because it's like I wanted to get this out the way before then I progress in my own journey now of bodybuilding and what we want to do. Do you know what I mean? So be it's taken longer from this year with what's happened.
So what is the next step with bodybuilding? Is it
Right, pro card.
next year?
Um, oh, bro. It was so like being real. It probably was going to be next year. Now it's obviously up in the air a little bit more. With what happened recently, as in like something happened recently, just personal health thing. Um, I mean, I've never done an off season, believe it or not, like an actual off season this year. Committed to it. I'm not actually shared a transformation, not a
I haven't
transformation in
even
terms of when.
I haven't genuinely like Tim said it was like, oh, I'll show you how Joe was looking. Like, so this was at, like I think we was like an Airbnb before a show, and then like something came up and he just never showed me.
Bro, he don't. That's why he's not showing it to like fuck all really.
Like he was going,
Because
I was like, oh, how's Joe looking? He's like, oh, I'll get something now. But then like something happened with like I had to go and get tan or something like that, and it just never came up.
nah. So like I don't know. We haven't really shared it, but that's more because of the social media thing in terms of you know what like how it is and that kind of being in that period of having to like speak about the step you not the step you want to go down, if you want to go down that route or not. People didn't believe me for a long time that I was natty, which like you boys know I was, but like people aren't going to believe it because of how lean I could get and stuff and just the video. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like obviously, yeah, you as a bodybuilder, you all have different goals. I know the next goal for me is, as Tim said, he's not, even if we then said next year we were to prep, Tim's not prepping me unless it's for that one thing. That's all he wants. He doesn't care how long it takes. That could take another 3 years. That could take another 2 years. That could be next year. We'll always run it as in we'll go into a diet and see how it's looking. But then the next goal is pretty clear on what we want.
Which is
Because like, huh?
is
I'm not, which is a pro card. Obviously, the pro card is what we want.
Fed?
What Fed on, bro? Fit X Pro card. Nah, I want, bro. I want the Fit X Pro card, and then I want to go and get the PNBA Pro card. Fuck that. Nah, I think yeah, that's it. Like that's the goal.
I
It
actually
takes time. Don't get me wrong.
anyone who can't read between the lines, it's the actual.
Yeah, IFBB. That's it. We're not talking like any. I mean, last year I did that at the Pro Qual. My last show. It's what Kingsley just did. KC this year. That's a whole other thing. He got robbed last year. Bearing in mind this show was big last year. The only person that got drug tested in the bodybuilding category in the whole show was me. And then the winner, who's now down the route of being a pro, I don't think he's natty, or I don't think he was. He's not always been natty, it's clear. But doing that route of getting your pro card as a natty in the IFBB league is bullshit, because you can be natty for 4 years, but you could have been on it before. And there's no way of them actually like kind of making it completely legit that you are a natural athlete. And there was a lot of people that
In
weren't.
my opinion, if you have ever taken gear, you should never compete naturally.
No, exactly, bro. So like that's what
In a way,
I
like
felt, and
yes,
I had.
in 10 years' time, if I was to never take anything again, I would be natural, I think, in every single federation. But I've built muscle to a much better degree from the years which I've been assisted.
Yeah, bro, it's that, but it's also just morally. Like I can't lie, I could never do it. I couldn't do it. Like, and I don't know how people always said in the past when I did it on why you lied about being natty, this that. I just genuinely I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't actually say you're fake nat. I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's probably again because of how I've been like kind of grown up in terms of what I did before all of this. I just wouldn't be able to lie like that. But yeah, no, the goal is the IFBB, obviously, to go down for that next. Just have to wait and see. I mean, the condition is never going to be an issue, and with the more muscle, the condition will be a lot more fun. And I can't wait for that. To be fair, to get even more peeled, but it's something that it takes time. So if it's next year and we drop in just for a fun show, not maybe it won't be for the pro card. It will just be to assess, to kind of to do a prep to see how things are. But it probably won't be next year, especially after what's happened recently. It'll be the year after.
So how
Yeah.
yeah, you won't be in juniors, will you?
No, I'll be 24 then.
Okay. So we see you're 22 now.
No, I shall be 25 then. I'm 23.
Now, yeah, because I always get mixed up. I'm not too sure if you're 2 years older than me or one.
One. Am I two or one? Yeah, one. Because
I'm
I'm
an old bastard, I am. Fuck me.
I'm still young. Still young.
Nah, I mean, yeah, no, I won't be doing juniors, but I don't want to do fucking juniors anyway. So I don't know. I don't know
I
enough.
think
Like,
I think even next year, I don't think I'm going to bother with juniors, even though it's my last year.
no,
I don't think I'm
no,
like,
it means nothing, bro.
I
Bro, it means nothing.
it might be nice to be like, oh yeah, like if I say I won a British title, say a junior bodybuilding British title, but oh that'd be sick. But I'm like, but imagine I just put classic trunks on. I would have rather have won a classic British title. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if I'd rather have a shot at doing that.
yeah. No, 100%. I don't think it's worth doing juniors, bro. Like, there's no point doing it. To be fair, like, yeah, I know. I mean, I did it last year at PCA, but I was natty, and that was just fun.
Even then, that thing is like a lot of. I think if you're just wanting to go down just open bodybuilding anyway, juniors make sense because you're flat out not going to have the size which
Yeah, you're not gonna have the size. But then like when I then did the natty pro qual, so the IFBB pro qual. I did juniors in the qualifier, won that obviously. So then when I then, as in going, that was the show then when I got put into the overall because they made me do middleweight. Like I didn't know that I had to do that. I didn't really plan on going into the overall last year thinking, yeah, this show would be going to the overall, win it. It was just to qualify for the finals, the pro qual finals. So like there's no point doing junior unless you're an open bodybuilder, you need to do it. I won't be doing juniors again unless I do next year, but we'll see on that. I know what the goal is, and that's just it really. There's nothing else to be said. It's not about the talk, it's more about actually just doing it. Do you get me? Too many people are still out there talking, oh, I'm coming for this, I'm coming for that. Shut up. Like, just shut up, mate.
It's always
Like,
people,
yeah.
I think a lot of the time it's always people that like haven't even competed yet.
Bro, it's that, but it's also the ones that like they're saying, "Oh yeah, not too bad on this. Like, I put on this muscle. Look at this, what I did out of prep." Like, no one gives a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
you can, bro. People can do it and then look good at the start of prep, and people can do it and say, "Yeah, I look sick on like I'm looking mad going into this prep. I've done really well this off season. I've kept it tidy. All of these things." But then when it comes to the prep, they just fade. Like they just fade. And that's it. It's the ones that talk the big and they just fade completely, and they don't look good on stage when it actually comes down to when it matters. Do you know what I mean? And I could think of names, so many names of that. But again, I'm not going to do that because we're not here to do that. But it's just about people need to just realize that you don't need to.
Before we have another thing which I have to edit out, let's leave that.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to edit that. So yeah, I think it's just not talking it and just doing it. And that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my own bodybuilding journey now.
Cool. Do you want to run on to questions before we wrap up?
Ah, fuck me. I don't know about. It's pretty simple how we wrap this up, but I can wrap this up still. Give me a sec.
'Cause I've got one which is how do you not die? Which I feel like we've always like kind of got through. Like he was kind of just mentally wise, just not a twat.
I'll answer that one for. I'd say, bro, when I was on prep and I genuinely was like actually on death's like I was on death's door like with the end of prep last year. Like I was dead. Like I did that PCA show last year, the finals, and then I was meant to then fly to then go to compete in the world finals in Australia for DFAT because I was still like, do you know what I mean? That's what we set out to do last year. Because I won the worlds before, I was going to do the worlds last year. And then me and Tim were like, you know what, fuck it, we'll pull that and we'll just go for the IFBB. That's our final show, so we're going to get fresh. To be fair, it's a madness. If there's a photo, you probably can get it up. I went from being the end of PCA, the finals, I looked dead, like I'm like peeled to the bone. But then in 2.5 weeks, we managed to then turn it around. So I actually got fresher, got more peeled, but then went up weight. And that wasn't even just fullness; it was just I recovered. Like my body, as Tim would say,
You're almost like rebounded.
yeah, but I would say that because I've conditioned myself other ways, when I am peeled, like from when I did my Fit X show to the end, everyone was like, the Fit X show, you're going to get more peeled. I did get more peeled than the start of the season. Each show was more and more peeled. And like literally, like we didn't even peak max it or use anything. Like for the first two shows, I don't think we even peaked it. We just like, even no, like it didn't even peak going into the show. We just turned up on the show. I think I was eating carbs the night before, just like smashing carbs down still. But it was just like my body was fine and it wasn't gonna react into like spill. Like my body doesn't really spill ever. So I can get leaner. I can get leaner as the season goes on. And I did. And it's I don't know how people say how do you not die. I felt like I was dying. Like I literally felt like I was dying, but
I don't get it because
it's
I think we thought I was about to.
bro, the photo, yeah, last year, when I look back at it now, that one that Tim put up the other day, I'm like, what the fuck? That that was the day. So well, I went to B
You know
Mod.
what I found like really. So I didn't even find this out until this year. So when I was staying at Tom's for a bit, you know Tom Taylor,
Yeah, yeah,
and we were watching one of your YouTube videos, and it was your couple of days out from you were at B Mod.
yeah.
Went home and it was like, yeah, last meal, just a bar of dark chocolate to fat load.
Bro, I was about to
Last
say
meal,
that the
100
fat
grams of
load,
fat.
The fact though that I had 100 grams dark chocolate in the morning, 100 grams dark chocolate in the evening for 3 days straight. And then when he went carbs, I don't know how many carbs I was on. You'd have to ask Tim, but it was like the most carbs he'd put on like any of his natties, just literally fucking filled me. Um, and it was fine. But those photos, when I look at them, because I remember that's the day I drove to B Mod and I was in the car and I was thinking, nah, I'm dead. I actually felt dead. Like I can't put it into words, but Tim and everyone would say to me, like, how are you all right? And in the moment, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm actually all right. Do you know what I mean? I was actually loving
When
it.
you come out of that hole, you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah, I did it. I felt like that a bit, but I genuinely think I could have probably stayed that lean. I'm not even taking a piss for like another like 4 or 5 months like that lean. I genuinely think I could have. And that's just where it's a mindset. That's not like how your body holds it. That's a mindset of saying you're gonna do it and that was it. So like I don't know how we did stay alive, but it's a mindset and then
That's
Tim
how it
being able
is.
to manage it. Tim was able to manage it, but it was just like just heads down, get on with it. Um, not being a bitch, basically. Like nice way, like it was just not being a bitch, and that leads on to these other questions that are just literally fucking. Did you have? Did you? How did it feel to have no testosterone? Well, for one, I'm not gonna fucking know. I'm not gonna know how it felt in terms of how I felt in terms of testosterone
Okay,
being
but
low.
last year when you were competing, when was your last erection of prep?
Bro, the fucking day before the final show, bro. Yeah, in fucking Lils, chilling. No, he was.
No, but like,
Tim said to me, he's like, "You're
you
Tim."
like,
That's when Tim was like, "You're actually an anomaly." That's what he said.
what, you just walked out with a boner. Tim, look at this.
Yeah, just walking about like that. And Tim checked
I
in.
Tim went fair play.
Yeah. Nah, I didn't
Like,
actually
literally,
lose
for
that
me, from
last year.
July onwards, I think without even realizing, I wouldn't even listen to a song which had something about sex in. I just skip it. I wouldn't be like,
Nah,
oh, it's
bro.
good, but I'd be like, oh, I just don't care.
Bro, I was alright
This
for
might
most
have
of
to
prep, to be fair.
I was like, fuck that.
might have to bleep some, but I was just chilling last year. Like I was actually all right.
We still shagged.
Wait,
Yeah, like it was sweet.
was you for your with your missus through prep last year?
Nah, bro, nah.
Might have to
I
bleep that
wasn't
one.
with her. I met her, yeah. I met her this year.
Did you?
I can't wait for
Oh,
prep with her though, because it'll be a breeze next year with her. Well, whenever it is, it'll be a breeze with her. So much easier.
I
You
mean,
need to have
to
a
be
good
fair,
hey,
girl,
she's
bro.
cooking your
she
food,
already
mate.
cooks all your meals. So,
Nah, bro, she's an absolute, genuinely. When I prep next, I'm telling you now, it will be easier to get more freaky pilled because of her just being there and actually backing it and supporting it. Because you don't find girls like it,
and also
and you need
cooking,
someone like that.
and also cooking your meals.
Yeah, but that's the next question. How many calories was I on? Bro, I was eating
How many
three
calories
three
did you go?
thousand. I was on 3,000 calories plus most days.
I remember seeing it.
Um,
Yeah, you were literally like, and that's what I think of people when you're that peeled, like you need that food to just hold.
yeah, we got peeled. We did cardio for the first 2 weeks of prep, and then we pulled it. So I didn't touch cardio from 2 weeks into prep till Lil. Till Lil, which was I was on prep for 6 months. And I didn't actually do cardio. It's for the first 2 weeks I did, and then I was telling Tim, I was like, bro, I was like feeling myself. I was like, I need to do cardio. I was like, I'm doing cardio. Like, and he was like, no, you're not. I was like, I need to do it. Like, and he would say I'm not allowed to. Um, and then basically he when he said to me, "Oh, don't do cardio," I would like then end up trying to do cardio. Like it was like one of them where as it got to the point, like even the weeks out, like before the shows when I was peeled, I was still want to do cardio, like because I just liked that pain and I like that pain. And when I now, bro, like if I'm not in pain, I'm just fucking bored. Like it sounds tapped and it is, but I am just bored. So we didn't have cardio. We had food so high. We did run high days, low days, which is another question. We did have high days. We did have low days. The food never really went that low until until after the PCA, we did a week of high day. Like that was after the PCA finals, we did a week of like high food, and then we like dropped it. And that's when I was like, fucking hell. And that's like when that's when I did start to feel it. Like the 2 weeks out before December last year, because I basically just finished prep this time last year, which is mental. That was when I did feel it. And that was when every morning I got out of bed, I wasn't sleeping, you know, the ways where you're just starving, but I got out of bed, Tim would message me, are you good? I was like, nah, I'm not good, but let's get it. I met Tim in person. He saw me at B Modified, and that's when he said he just never seen anything like it. And at B Mod that time, people coming up and just looking like that at me posing and thinking like, what's going on? And it's a skin. My skin can get thin as well. So people have got to remember that you can be really lean, but then you're even more lean if you've got really thin skin, and that's something else that people don't realize. Do you know what I mean? Like you're probably something you know how it is, Josh. If you have a tight midsection, then you're gonna have thin skin.
Yeah, like for example, like my midsection, my abs are fucking wank, and I've also got like a very, very small layer of like loose skin around my midsection, and it's weird because I was never like a fat kid at all. So like, and that also changed with just my midsection just being more developed. But then
Yeah,
it also comes with just like I think even like maturity in that sense. So like for example, if you've always been lean, your body's not going to be like, and I say like lean as if like generic like holiday lean. You've been very, very lean in the past, even before bodybuilding. So like you get into the stage of peeled wasn't as much of a change from someone who's never been moderately lean before.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then also people just think, yeah, that's it, bro. That's what it is. And getting lean isn't easy, especially natty. It's not easy. But then the hardest bit about it is when you're on a prep is just staying lean, and holding for a long amount of time is harder than actually getting lean itself. Getting lean isn't hard, but holding is getting hard.
Yeah.
But
100%.
yeah, that's sweet. All the questions are the same shit about what we basically just said. How shit is it? How shit is it?
Should
In
we,
every
should we
episode.
wrap it up there? Because it's probably been like a good hour and a half that.
Bro, it's a long one.
That was a good podcast. That was fucking mint.
But yeah, that was
Yeah,
mint.
good one.
That was like that was very much how I wanted it to go in the sense of like it's probably a lot different to what people see on social media of you, Joe. But then it's also what I mean is like it's actually like you chatting because like you're not someone who like chats on your stories, for example. So
Nah, I do want to do that. I do. I used to do that, and I do want to do that more. But that's what I'm saying. I just haven't really been on it. I've
then
just
but the
been,
thing is though, it's also a bit different from what people probably have perceived as you beforehand. Like it's actually
well,
you.
just because, and you can keep this in to finish it. Just because I'm someone that isn't a sheep and will say it how it is, and
Yeah.
if you don't like it, you don't like it.
And you've come
Don't
across
really
an ego
care.
way, haven't you? You come across an ego way before, haven't you? People don't
Yeah,
know your story.
yeah, and people don't know that. People don't know the story. Yeah, but it's not that. It's just caring. It's the same as like people are always going to say it's about that all in thing. I don't give a fuck. That's an example of it. That's me looking out for people for the right reason. It's just coming across a different way because in the bodybuilding world, there's a lot of sheep, people that won't stand up and just say how it is. In another world I was in before, people would say how it is a lot more. And maybe that's just it, but
Mm.
I don't really care. You like it or you don't like it. I'm not gonna really like
Okay.
people aren't gonna know this side to me. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's good. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. As usual, Joe's details will be in the description, even though you probably already followed him. So any likes, story tags would be greatly appreciated. Tag Joe. And we'll leave it there. So yeah, thank you.
Good chat, boys. And yeah, thank you for having me on. It's a good podcast too. Two
We'll,
boys you can actually just chat
Big
to
ups.
and actually
Big
like
ups.
have a laugh with, chat some shit, but chat good shit as well and relate. So yeah, big love, boys.
we'll,
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, bro.
Calm in a bit, yeah.